Good afternoon, ladies and gentlefolks. This is Cece back with another video, and this is going to be part 4 of the Mercari series, in which I will talk about the refunds and return policies. And if you guys haven't done so already, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for future videos. But we will get into the nitty-gritty of the refunds and return policies. And if this video does start to get a little lengthy, I will split it up into another video or two like I did with Depop, but for now we will just get into the basics of the process. For the buyers, I do just want to make a note that once you receive the item from the seller, you'll have 24 to 72 hours once you receive the item to actually decide if you're going to return it or not. So if you do decide for whatever reason you're going to return the item, just make sure it's vitally important that you don't rate the transaction or rate the sell, because after you do that, the seller gets paid and then you won't be able to actually return the item if you decide to send it back to the seller. So that's just something I wanted to point out in this video. So if you decide you're not going to keep the item, just make sure not to rate it and do it within 3 days after the item's been delivered. And then down here are the steps you can take, and I'm going to include this link in the description box on how to start the request to return an item. And then once the item has been approved, Mercari is going to email you a prepaid return label, or you can download it from the order status page, and you'll get your refund once the item has been delivered to the seller. And they'll have 24 hours to review the return before Mercari actually refunds you. Okay, guys, so I'm actually going to start on the profile page, and I'm going to just show you one of the ways you can navigate to your completed purchases in order to start a refund or a return. So you can hit the buying button, go to completed. I'm not going to actually return anything I bought. I'm just going to use this as an example. So I clicked on this item I purchased, and you can hit the 3 little dots in the top right hand corner, hit order status, hit help. And here it'll take you to the contact us page, and then you would just follow the prompts, and you can say this is about my purchase, obviously. And then when you hit the edit button here, you click the item that you're having the issues with. So for this example, I just use this one. It'll tell you that it was delivered with the tracking number, the time and date and everything of that nature. And then down here where it says tell us more about the issue, if you're doing a return, you can just say this is about returning my purchase and hit select. And then you would click I want to return my purchase. I want to cancel my return request. And if I were to keep clicking, it would take me to the resolutions page. I'm not going to do that for this example, but you would just click the I want to return my purchase, and then after that you can go into detail what was wrong with the purchase in order to get the refund and the return process started on Mercari's end. So that would be one of the ways that you can navigate to get to an item that you bought. So for my sellers, if you do get a notification from Mercari that the buyer, after the item's been delivered, that they're returning the request, Mercari is going to pause the 3-day rating period, and they're going to look into the request, and they're going to have the buyer, of course, provide proof and documentation. They're just not going to go off the word of the buyer, because sometimes people exaggerate, just saying. So once that's been done, you'll get the request sent to you as well, and then you'll have 24 hours to review the buyer's request, and then you can provide your own feedback and approve the buyer's request by visiting the order status page. And once that happens, then Mercari will review the buyer's request and any feedback that you've actually given as the seller after the 24-hour window. And then they'll also look at the pictures that the buyer has provided to them and the original listing. So it's very important that you're as honest as possible about the listing. So if you say something's new and you know it's not new, it's going to highly affect you as the seller. So I just push for every seller to be as honest as possible about the condition of the item and how good it works. And a lot of sellers are pretty good with doing that, But it's really important so that you don't run into issues like this where people return it because the item isn't what they thought it was going to be, or it doesn't look like it looks in the pictures. You know, you just don't want to deal with the hassle of that. So just be as honest as possible. But if everything goes through on Mercari's end and your end, Mercari will approve the return if the item is not as described in the listing, the item is prohibited, there's an undisclosed damage to the item, and there's incorrect, incomplete, or missing information about the item. And if Mercari denies the buyer's request, your transaction will be rated and paid, and you'll get rated and paid by Mercari themselves. So if a return is approved, the buyer will be sent a shipping label, and they'll have them return the product within 3 days, as if you were selling something within 3 days. So Mercari is big on the 3-day window. So just keep an eye out for that stuff if you are expecting a returned item back. And if the return tracking hasn't been updated after 7 days have passed, they'll complete the transaction, and you'll also get paid as well for the buyer. And these are just a couple tips down here, and I'm also going to put this in the description box for the buyer. Just if you are sending something back, just make sure to take good pictures and make sure the description is accurate as possible. So if the seller said that the item's brand new and you can clearly see it's not brand new or it's been used, you can just put that in the description box. But that's just a couple more tidbits for the buyers. But just for the sellers, you can also provide your feedback. So if you felt that in your description you were as honest as possible and you gave the condition of the item and the person's trying to return it saying that you didn't, you can dispute that, and Mercari's got your back if you were as honest as possible. Just saying. But those are just a couple things to expect when doing a return for the buyers and the sellers. Okay, guys, and that'll wrap up this video regarding the return process on Mercari for the buyer and the seller's perspective. And just to summarize very quickly again, just make sure if you're the buyer returning the item to the seller, you do it within 3 days of you actually receiving the item. Don't rate the item, and just make sure you provide adequate photos and descriptions on why you're returning the item. And as the seller, make sure you're as honest as possible. If I don't stress anything enough, just be as honest as possible about the items you post on your page. You don't want this to affect your sales later on in the future because you're being dishonest, and worst case scenario, Mercari will just end up shutting down your page. So to avoid that, guys, just be as honest as possible from both parties, and you will be very happy with this app and everything that's included in it. And I am going to make a separate video regarding refunds because there's details that I want to touch on in a separate video. So if you guys like this content, again, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys for all the support and the suggestions, and be on the lookout for the next video. Stay blessed, stay happy, and stay healthy, guys. Peace.